Hi, welcome to Business Time. I am Melisha. Remember now to subscribe, like, and share. We are going to be looking at strategies used by employers and employees to gain an upper hand during periods of conflict. Whenever employees feel that their employers are not being fair or that they are treated unfairly for whatever reason, they will engage in certain activities to cause their employers to think more about what they want or, to try to, give them what it is that they need to have. And the same thing goes for employers. Whenever they feel that employees are demanding too much, also the employers can implement certain strategies to get the employees to do what the employers want, right? So guess what? Employer or employee? Let's see who can get the upper hand. And of course, trade union representatives will also step in the bargaining process, to seek to arrive at an agreement, that can benefit both the employer and the employees. Their aim is to make sure workers are not taken advantage of. So when employers are not trying to negotiate fairly with employees, then there are certain strategies that can be used to get them to listen and to do what their employees need them to do. So let's get into some of the strategies or industrial actions that are used by employees. The first one is strike. Yes. Have you ever seen it? It happens a lot here where I'm from. Well, most times we see the strike evident against the government, But what happens in a strike is that a group of workers refuse to work in order to get their employers to see that they are serious. So what can happen is that everybody, employer, management turns up for work, only to realize that there is no employee. Customers show up only to realize that there is nobody working. And listen, no business place, no employer wants to be in that position. And so that can pressure the employers to do what the employees want them to do. Another strategy used by employees is called work to rule. This is when workers do no more than the minimum required by the rules and regulations governing their contracts. Workers will make sure, of course, that they do not break key rules such as health and safety rules, such as making sure that they put on their safety gears or whatever precautions they need to take. Other rules, however, that do not have to be followed every day, and there's some flexibility with it, may not be followed in this case. And of course, the employer will not say that the workers are breaking the rule. So this action can cause a slowdown or a decrease in productivity, right? So therefore, employers cannot say, that the workers have broken the rules and so they have to be fired. You understand? If the employees go by the books and do what they're supposed to do, management cannot fire them. Another strategy that is useful is what is called go slow. This is when workers keep working, but they work at a slow pace, the slowest possible pace, that their contract will allow. So what you find is that employees will not put out any extra effort, to move faster than they need to, because they want things to flow and, the business to be very productive. Employees are not about this Employers will not be able to say that workers are not doing their work, but the employees are just working very slow. The slow pace that the employees are working will be enough to slow down production and cause major disruptions, especially during busy times at the workplace. So you see, this is such a good example of how they can, cause their employers to do what they want. They can't fire the workers because the workers are doing the job. Another strategy that employees use is called an overtime ban. This is where employees refuse to work more than the required hours that they need to work. So during busy times at work, guess what? Output will be reduced and the business may not be able to meet increased demand because the workers, if they are to be at work from 8 to 4, as soon as 4 o'clock comes, they're out of that place. They're not putting, even if they're going to get paid for working overtime. Listen, the workers are like, hey, we are not doing it. Yeah, some interesting strategies here, don't it? Now, let's look at some strategies that employers can use to gain the upper hand during conflicts. The first one is called lockout. This one is interesting. No, listen up. This is when employers close down a part or the entire business and cause workers to be out of employment. They will not reopen the business until workers decide to come back to work on their terms and conditions. Now listen, you have some employees, it's when they work that they get paid for the time that they work. And so if employers close down the business for more than one day, you know what that means? No pay. So this is such a good strategy that employers can use. Lockout. No, the next interesting one is what is called SCAB labor. This is when employers hire new workers to replace workers who are on strike. This can work nicely for employers, as sometimes the new workers will even work for less than the workers who are on strike. And sometimes these new workers are desperately in need of a job, and so they will work for little or nothing. Right? This one is very interesting. Imagine you're on strike and you only see other people coming in to replace you. Lord have mercy. Striking would done immediately for some persons. And the third strategy here that employers can use is public relations. No, this is when the employers use the media to get the public to support their viewpoint, and this can pressure the trade union to soften its stance. This can cause the public to look at the employers and say, what a wicked set of workers. Imagine the business is struggling and trying to get, many persons to be employed as much as possible. No, they want higher wages. When the business gives higher wages now and cannot pay, what's going to happen to the business? The business is going to shut down. Workers, go back to work. You all too wicked. Interesting. Yes. The final strategy that we're going to look at that can be used by employers is threats of redundancies. No, redundancy is when an employer reduces their workforce due to reasons other than job performance or behavior. So it doesn't mean that the worker is not performing well or that the worker is not behaving well. But the redundancies can take place because guess what? A position is no longer needed, or things like an economic recession. right? And you know, when a lot of persons are out of jobs, people are not buying anything, and so the business is not making as much money as it used to. So what the employers can do is threaten redundancies. You understand me? Make it look like, listen, you see this position here, this management position or this supervisor position or this clerk position, unfortunately we're not going to need that position anymore. Some interesting things ahead. So listen, not only the employees can do things to get their employers, right, to do what they want, but the employers too can do things to get the employees to do what they want. Interesting, don't it? Yes, I love this. I love this topic. All right, so remember the strategies that are used by employers and employees to gain the upper hand during periods of conflict. Hope you learned something. See you next time.